February 23rd, 2015, at approximately 1400 hours, Detective Tom Penson, assigned to Gang and Narcotics Division, was conducting surveillance on a residence in Southwest Division in an attempt to locate and arrest an attempted murder suspect who had shot someone in the neck months earlier. Working in plain clothes and in an unmarked vehicle, Penson positioned himself down the street with a view of the suspect's residence. Almost immediately, Penson observed the suspect's sister driving slowly down the street, peering into parked vehicles. As she approached Penson's vehicle, she stopped to see who was inside. Penson leaned back to avoid any eye contact. Feeling uneasy and suspicious, she drove back to the residence to warn her brother. At this point, the suspect had exited the residence and was getting into his truck. The suspect's sister jumped out to warn him about the person in the car down the street. Before backup units could respond, the suspect entered his truck and started driving towards Penson. He stopped within 5 feet of the undercover vehicle and opened fire. Detective Penson was not struck and was able to engage the suspect. In the subsequent gun battle, Penson shot the suspect in the left side of his upper body. Although severely wounded, the suspect managed to drive back to his residence where he was taken into custody. During a search of the residence, the .45 caliber handgun used to shoot at Detective Penson was recovered, along with numerous other firearms. On December 11, 2012, a distraught mother of 2 children called 911 and had advised the dispatcher that the estranged father of her children came over uninvited and that she was concerned because of his violent behavior and drug use. When patrol officers arrived to the residence, the suspect, high on PCP, had armed himself with a knife and barricaded himself in an upstairs bedroom, along with the 2 children. The suspect was using the children as human shields and would occasionally hold the knife near their neck and head. During the standoff, SWAT officers responded to the location in an attempt to gain the safe release of the children and to safely take the suspect into custody. As time wore on, the suspect became highly agitated and started making statements that threatened any likelihood of achieving a peaceful resolution.
Open the door, come outside. Let's end this peacefully.
I'm not opening the door. The minute you guys touch this door, I'm killing both of these kids.
At this point, SWAT members realized they had to move quickly to prevent the suspect from carrying out his threats to kill the children. SWAT officer Joseph Gooseby, together with 2 other element members, utilized an explosive breach to enter the bedroom. Upon entering the room, officers observed the suspect holding both children in his arms while holding a knife to one of their necks. One officer discharged 1 round, which missed the suspect. Officer Gooseby advanced and delivered 2 contact shots to the suspect, stopping his deadly behavior and saving the children. On August 25, 2011, a call came out over harbor frequency.
Harbor units 585, unknown trouble, 126 West D Street, 126 West D Street, code 3, incident 5734 D505.
Upon arriving to the location, Officer Antonio Medina and his partner were met by an unidentified female who had advised the officers that she heard screaming and glass breaking coming from inside room 21. Both officers proceeded upstairs and located the room. After knocking on the door a few times with no response, they decided to wait in the hallway for an additional unit. Suddenly, and without warning, the suspect bursts out of the room. In his right hand, he's armed with a broken wooden cane with a jagged edge. And in his left hand, he held a broken aluminum window frame. As the partner officer backed up to create distance from the suspect, he deployed his taser, which had no effect on the suspect. The suspect attacked the partner officer and struck him several times with the broken cane, and attempted to stab him in the face with the sharp, jagged end. Fearing that his partner would be killed, Officer Medina fired 8 rounds, striking the suspect. At this point, Medina rushed the suspect and tackled him to the ground, saving his partner from serious injury or death. The suspect later succumbed to his injuries. On November 11, 2009, at 1900 hours, Tony M. and his probationary partner received a radio call of a sexual assault investigation.
7847, 7847, an attack investigation, 1342 Cochrane Avenue. It's code 2 incident 3437 RD732.
The victim advised both officers that her ex-boyfriend had raped her and threatened to kill her the day before. She further told the officers that she ended their relationship because of a pattern of physical abuse from the suspect. The victim told the officers that she wanted to go back to her apartment because she was exhausted from the long day. Due to the threats made by the suspect, M suggested to the victim that she stay at another location for the night. She refused and told the officers that she lived on the 2nd floor with a metal security door and bars on the windows, and that she felt safe. Prior to returning to the apartment, M and his partner received approval from the watch commander to utilize an unmarked vehicle to conduct surveillance for 2 hours. Upon arrival, the officers observed from their vehicle that the victim safely entered her apartment. Unbeknownst to the officers, the suspect had already entered the apartment through the rear bathroom window and was waiting for the victim to return. 2 hours later, the officers attempted to call the victim but was unsuccessful. On the 3rd attempt, the phone was answered and the officer heard screaming. M and his partner immediately exited their vehicle and ran up the flight of stairs to the victim's apartment. Hearing screams coming from inside the apartment, the officers attempted to gain entry but were unable due to the security door and the bars on the windows. While standing on the landing, M looked through the window and observed the suspect, armed with a knife, stab the victim in the chest. As the suspect advanced toward the victim again, M fired 1 round through the window, fatally striking the suspect. On April 25, 1971, Central Division patrol officers Daniel Cook and Ronald Ryerson were assigned to a crime suppression detail, working in full uniform and driving in an unmarked vehicle. At approximately 2200 hours, they observed a lone male walking in the closed industrial area of 1600 North Main Street. As the officers exited their vehicle, he stopped momentarily before running away from the officers. Both officers pursued the suspect on foot, at which time the suspect fired a shot towards them. Cook struck the suspect with his flashlight, causing the suspect to fall to the ground and Cook to overrun him. The suspect fired shots at Cook, striking him in the leg. Cook returned fire, hitting the suspect. The suspect immediately jumped to his feet and ran northbound across Main. As Ryerson pursued the suspect on foot, they became involved in a running gunfight with numerous rounds being fired. As the suspect ran between buildings, he turned and raised his gun towards the officer, causing Ryerson to fire 1 round, striking the suspect. The investigation later revealed that the suspect was a fugitive who had escaped from a New Mexico correctional facility and had committed a robbery while en route to Los Angeles. These 6 officers are to be commended for their dedication and bravery. Their willingness to confront life-threatening danger was above and beyond the customary demands of duty, and their actions exemplify the highest standards and expectations of the Los Angeles Police Department. The Los Angeles Police Protective League is proud to present these heroes with the Distinguished Service Award.